needed for the road improvements.
So, I'd just like to make a comment or ask a couple of questions here. My concern about Peachtree and 53, about putting a light there, is just that, a light there, for a couple of reasons. If I'm crossing Peachtree and I'm gonna go to the Kroger site, because I have the green light, my fear is listening to those, I call them air brakes, I think they're called something else. Yeah, big trucks. That makes me a little nervous, to be honest with you, especially because the speed limit coming down 53 one way is one speed limit, and the going the other way is a different speed limit. It's a nightmare for Chief Hill right now. So my question is, has Kroger or will Kroger look into a roundabout there? That's my question. Now, I don't know that you all know that answer, but I would like to ask them that before. I mean, if we approve these, we've gone past no return, correct?
Well, to answer your question, I don't think anyone has brought the subject matter up about a different design. I do know that the Kroger assemblage relies on it being a traffic signal, and they're moving in that direction. And so any kind of alternative design at this point would confound or complicate that project some. But in any event, I don't think it's a permanent decision, let's say. I mean, the Kroger, we'll see plans for to build that, and then they've worked with the Georgia DOT to get acceptance on what that intersection improvement will look like. And so I don't think anybody's asked officially whether we could have a roundabout at that location. Now, there is a study, as you know, a larger corridor, State Route 60 and 53 corridor study that the Georgia DOT is doing. And there's been discussions before about roundabouts, and Georgia DOT loves roundabouts. You know that. You've seen how many there that go in everywhere. So they would probably love to have it, but it's a design, such a project would have to be designed, and then of course it would have to be funded, and that kind of a project is beyond the scope of what Kroger would do. And at this point, that traffic signal is being funded basically 100% by the Kroger development. And so, but my point, I guess, I'm trying to get at is that we don't have to view a traffic signal as the permanent, forever and ever decision. I mean, it may be that Kroger gets built in a year, we get a traffic signal up, it's handling that way, traffic growth increases, and we need better solutions, and Georgia DOT gets behind a proposal to put a roundabout there, and then they can assist with the design and the funding of a roundabout. So I think it's very possible. It's not a point of no return where you could never go back. We think of this probably in terms of stages, that light could last us a long, long time, or it could last us only maybe several years, 5 years, and then we're looking at a different design that DOT approves. And then on the speed limit, I guess we can ask the city manager maybe to make contact with the applicant about what kind of discussions they've had with DOT, and also we should be able to resolve, could make a request. I'm not exactly sure on the speed limit issue. Maybe the city attorney knows, but I think the state gives you a recommended speed limit for their state routes, and then the city adopts it by, Chief Hill may know. And so if you've got concern about the speed limit, and I think you have good reason to if it's 55 through there, part of it, then we should be looking at ways to reduce that down to a 45 or less. So that discussion could be had by the proper administrative folks to see what we could do to lower that.
I think we need to go back to the drawing board on it, because when I first took over and started the department back, DOT told us we would do a survey there at town center, and if over 80%, it was 80-something% of the cars were already doing 35 miles an hour, they would drop that 45 to 35. Well, everybody knows, including myself, nobody's doing 35 miles an hour through there, so surely you're not gonna get 80% of the cars or plus to do that. So I think now that we have the Publix and the Kroger, once this is set in stone and they're gonna put this light, I think we need to just go back to DOT and say, look, the dynamics here are changing drastically. I think we need to revisit this, minus your study. Of course, it's the state, so they're gonna do what they wanna do, but that would be our recommendation.
Well, also, hopefully, if you have not heard, they're going to be the guest at the next mayor Q&A on February 22nd. 22nd? Yeah. 22nd, right? Love to have you all here, and y'all could, I'll raise the question again to them, and, maybe you could make a phone call for us, call Justin or...
So me and Chief Hill will, make contact tomorrow. Hopefully have something, to report Monday.
My personal opinion is I think a roundabout is a better answer there, because it's gonna slow all those trucks down coming down 53, where a light doesn't necessarily do that. So that's gonna be, my stance. Council, do you have any questions or comments?
So Chief, how far back, or how far back could we go to get to like a 35? Because it's
So
becoming
right now,
very
your
popular.
speed limit changes at Northeast Georgia Motorsports, is where it changes to 55, 45. My recommendation would be to bring the 35 all the way to Northeast Georgia Motorsports, and then start at 45, and then on the other side of Twin Lakes, if they choose to put it 55, that's fine. Right now, once you get past Twin Lakes, we don't have anything, but of course, once you start the next project there across from Twin Lakes, we need to revisit it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is gonna be hopefully a school and all there, so, I mean, we're looking at school zones, so, within the next few years, your dynamics down the road are gonna change dramatically.
That's good. That's a really good point on the school too.
Mhm.
School being in there. James, do you have any thoughts
Yeah,
on
they'll
this? 'Cause
change
you've
the
been
school
looking at this
zones,
for a
they
lot
might well.
longer.
Mhm.
Not to put you on the spot.
No, I think, we even suggested at one time, from the city limits of Houston on 53 South all the way through town, 35.
Mhm. I like that.
Straight,
I do too.
just a straight miles per hour, 35.
Yeah.
Now that you're going further out, you're picking up more houses up toward the farms and stuff like that. Yeah, you can even look at, the cameras, the school cameras, that which the school zone denied us over here on Maddox Road
Mm.
when we applied for those, which is a huge safety. But I don't know if they're allowed on a state highway.
Oh, yeah.
They
They
are.
got, they got them up on 441, I'm talking about 365 up toward Dillard, and boy, they catch the people.
They do.
They,
Jefferson.
they work.
I just,
The cameras work.
speaking of Jefferson, I just read today that Jefferson has made $16,000 from those cameras
Absolutely.
already this school year. $16,000.
With all
So-
with all the new kids coming and all that home,
Yeah.
this is kind of scary.
I would push for 35 all the way through our city, even if, gotta move it further out.
Chief, your thoughts on that? Is that,
Oh, yeah, I think so. Like I say, within the next few years, we're gonna have a school down there and all, hopefully, so, yeah, definitely. And
Well-
most schools are gonna be 25 miles an hour during school time.
Mhm.
Correct.
That's right.
plus we have, we have the daycare school here right now too, so, I mean, we have a school on each
Mhm.
end of the city just about.
All right, thank you all for your comments on that one. New business item 11, request to initiate variance application for property fronting town center / Highway 53. Dr. Jerry, if you don't mind taking this one?
Sure, thank you, Mayor and Council. This item originates primarily with, again, the Kroger assemblage group. And basically, Jen, if you scroll into there, I want to refer to the map. The first map there is this corridor map that the council adopted, a month or two ago, and this shows the Peachtree Road extension. And, this is a good example of how this corridor map concept is supposed to work in perfect terms. It's that we plan it and the developers come in and dedicate it and build it without any cost to the city, commensurate with their impact on development. And that's exactly what Kroger has decided to do and agreed to do. But the one catch, if you go to the next map, is there is a, one segment that they do not control, and that's shown on this map here, the darker line up there close to town center. They do not control that property, and they've been in discussion with the property owner to ask them to dedicate the land, and initially they were reluctant to do so, but we asked them what was their issue with dedicating it, and really all they were worried about is the fact that if they dedicate the land, it moves their setback for their building closer into their property. And I said, well, hey, I know how we can take care of that if the council's willing to do it. Let's initiate a variance request that will let them get their building closer to the right-of-way if they dedicate that right-of-way. Again, it's something that doesn't cost us any money, and we would get that last important leg of right-of-way for Peachtree Road extension. And so my recommendation is for you to authorize the initiation of this variance request, which would, you're not voting to approve the variance request now, you're voting to initiate the request. It would come back to you for public hearing in the March 14th meeting.
Any questions, council?
So this,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
this variance will mean that they don't lose usable land.
That's basically it, yeah. They would be, the action of dedicating the right-of-way has an effect on their site plan. It makes less land usable, and they don't have a problem, reportedly, of dedicating the land, but when it has along with it a setback, a larger setback that they would have to meet, then they're being hurt to some extent by it, which is something that's easily remedied with a variance. That's not going to impact anybody to a negligible extent.
And the zoning remains C2.
Correct.
That's a good question.
What kind of building are they talking about putting there?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
You may recall, Mr. Lawson, that we've,
A
the
gas
city
station.
council, twice denied a gas station on the site. The little I heard from the Kroger folks was that, they are seeing the benefit of alternative uses to the site. In other words, they were looking at a gas station, but now Kroger has a gas station right down the road, and they're seeing, I don't know if I can say this, dollar signs, but they're seeing the marketability of that property for other uses, whether that be just straight retail or a restaurant. I think that they're going to be comfortable with being able to develop it for some highway commercial use that's allowed under the C2 zone.
So with this variance, is their building gonna face toward 53 or town center?
Well, we still don't know that either. They haven't presented a site plan.
Okay.
This is just kind of a preemptive action on our part to get them to dedicate the right-of-way, and then they would file development plans. If they follow the zoning, they won't have to come back to council for that.
Good.
Dr. Sterling, didn't you have a question? Okay, thank you. Now we will go to AB for citizen input.
If anyone would like to address the mayor and council this evening, please raise your hand and I'll call you up. Seeing no hands, I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Mayor.
What's happened? No, what's happened? We don't need an executive session tonight, so I would like to see if there is a motion to adjourn this amazing meeting. Thank you, Dr. Sterling. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, James. All in favor of adjournment? Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.